Hey guys, I found this video here by the Daniel Squad about TV being the most overhated BFDI character. And it was just making me so angry. So I decided to just go into why his points
Before
are
we
annoying
begin,
me.
let me just state that TV isn't my favorite character. He's not
Okay.
in my top 5, let
So
alone
first
my top
off,
20. I genuinely think everything against.
not his
Before we
favorite
begin,
character.
let me just state that TV isn't my favorite character.
Okay.
He's not in my top 5, let alone.
Let's just look at this, by the way. We're not even 10 seconds in, there's already immediate problems. Oh wait, hold on. For a second I thought, OJ, hello Kevin, Cheese Orbit, and Lewis were in a joke. Okay, never mind. Yeah, this is pretty fine. I will say, just Bell being that high is a little concerning. Same with announcer. But other than that, yeah, this
In my
is
top 20.
Okay, so far
I
it's
genuinely
fine.
think everything against him is misleading or flat out.
By the way, that Ursias, I'm sorry, this is a little mean. I feel like it's a little cluttered. Like,
Wrong,
there's just a
and therefore
lot of
want to clear the
elements
air
going
regarding the
on here.
anti-TV sentiment.
Okay, let's get into this. Okay, here are the main points he's gonna go over. I will get to him when I get to him.
TV, Robot Flower, you've been selected by my formula for a successful team.
TV is a male contestant on the show Battle for Dream Island: The Power of Two. He has a screen which he uses to communicate with others and also has retractable legs. He's also the most overhated contestant still in Teapot. And dare I say...
Okay, first off, already, most overhated contestant still in Teapot. I'm just gonna try to list off every contestant I think is more overhated on TV. But this one will be a bit opinion-based, by the way. I think nobody on Death Pact yet again is... maybe Marker. But, maybe not. Okay. Okay, I don't think anyone on Team 2 is either. Am I forgetting someone? I guess Book is, if you're counting BFDI Book, but I wouldn't say so. Okay, so I will admit, I'm trying to think through all the teams. Right now, I can't really think of too many characters more overhated. I'd say the only one I can think of is Pillow, who is more overrated. But yeah,
The entire
I feel
show.
like most overrated
Why is he so disliked?
still.
Well, the answer to that question is
I'd say
complicated. No.
Pillow is by
No, it's
far
not.
more.
It's actually really easy to find the answers because every TV disliker who has ever lived uses the same 3 talking points, which I will be addressing and giving my reasons as to why I think they're incorrect. Talking point 1. He does nothing. This point is not just incorrect, but also flat out contradictory, as well as this being the main point which branches out into the other talking points that'll be discussed later. One of the only 2 times this point could have actually made sense would be with TV from, well, season 1. But even then, he took the chance to do something with his TV's Wishes and Dreams segment of the debut.
Okay, this is a single joke that lasts like 5 seconds for TV's Wishes and Dreams. And he goes on to claim that this is the only thing any of the failed debuters do here. That was a joke. That has any substance. Not really. I'd say that the Ruby joke was non-existent in Book looking up themselves. Dictionary looking himself up. Saying that they're supposed to be on a one-stream island. I'd say that actually is
ceremony, unlike most of the other 29 who didn't do anything.
of what
But
they
even
do.
then, he took the chance to do something with his TV's Wishes and Dreams segment of the debut ceremony, unlike most of the other.
Okay. Oh wait, it does say most. Okay, sorry. That was my bad. Did say most of them.
29 who didn't do anything. The BFDIA is another time when the argument could have been valid since he didn't have enough votes to
But
join
still,
the
I don't
season.
think a 5-second joke counts as yeah, I don't think a 5-second joke counts as doing something.
So he should have been sent to the TLC. However, he became the host of BFDIA because he was the
Okay.
closest to the
Of any
announcer.
host.
As a result of him hosting BFDIA, along with the
And when
flaws in
he's
this
here-
argument, many dislikers of TV believe he's better off as a host. In my opinion,
Because he is. Because as a contestant, I'm just going to get into this as a baseline for my main opinion on TV. As a host, TV is a good character. He works really well as a host if you're going to implement him as a character. Because not a main host, sorry, a co-host. He is a perfect co-host. He helps the host so well so they can be entertaining and can really also, while also having funny jokes. But as a contestant, TV provides nothing of substance except when he's acting as a co-host while still being a contestant. Which is my main problem with TV. Makes a much better
disservice to his
co-host.
character. Here's a list of everything he did while hosting BFDIA.
Okay.
Declaring challenge winners and losers, instructing people to vote, creating a cake at stake song,
Which, what he lists off here, is literally the
and
bare
revealing
minimum.
the votes at the cake at stake ceremonies. This is the norm for every BFDI host, and most don't even do more than this.
No, every single other BFDI host does more than this. They actually have character. TV does not have character
In
as a
fact,
main
most
host.
of them don't even do the third one.
They work as a co-host.
While this theoretically supports the
perfectly.
argument,
But as a
his
main
role as a
host or
host
contestant,
justifies this inaction.
It's just
However,
not.
TV was not competing during these 2 seasons, so these shouldn't count.
He's
So,
just not.
let's go to the
No,
present season,
sorry.
Teapot, where he does
Got
compete,
sidetracked.
and see what he does in every episode so
Let's
far.
see.
In Teapot 1, he shows all the names of users who voted Rubber Spatula to join, displays all the votes
They
during
could
the
have done
final
that with a visual effect.
3, and
Could have done that with a visual effect.
disease when 2 checks to see who got the second most number of votes.
Could have done that with 2 just having a memory. I'm going to debunk as many of these points as possible to show that it's not TV being doing stuff. It's just a TV
During
being
the
a
challenge, he
TV.
suggests using tennis ball trebuchet, which the team does, leading them to win. In Teapot
They could have had any contestant do that.
2, he was tasked by golf ball to calculate the most stable stacking structure, and got mad when GB dismissed it and
That, I will say, is a good joke. Okay.
favor of the
I'm going
singular
to
block,
keep
which
a counter of things he actually does.
is perfectly
One.
reasonable. In Teapot 3, he created a guide on how to make seats for the roller coaster, which the design for them went above and beyond, and it was applauded for it. The only reason they got such a low score was
2.
because Puffball made the roller coaster a literal safety hazard. In Teapot 4,
That's
all he
2
did was
things.
calculate the reverberation rates of an awe seriously on the ground level, so his team could know the risks of provoking them. A way not to provoke Davids is by, well, doing nothing, which is what the entire team did after that, with some nearly fatal slip-ups. The only reason
I'm not
their
gonna
funny
count
plant
that
died was
one.
because Eraser said,
David smell like boogers.
Just because
Teapot 5, he was
seeing as tennis ball and golf were on the team, if TV wasn't there, they'd probably just make some sort
kidnapped
of
by the
machine
strongest team on
that
Earth,
could
but uses Bono the
calculate.
robot flower as a mechanical mind to convince her to self-destruct the
This
ship in
is-
order to
This
sabotage the
does
team.
count.
The only reason Are You Okay lost was a mix of Eraser not knowing when to shut up and get the job done, as well as teammates pulling out their world's strongest magnet. Yes,
You guys want to blame it on Eraser here, which... No. Not really at all. He hasn't... Why would he expect that the other team would pop up out of nowhere with a
the very
world's
last second.
strongest magnet?
In Teapot 6, he suggested to his team to find the Dreamberry, their world's strongest magnet BS at the very last second. In Teapot 6, he suggested to his team to find the dream berry, then proceeded to locate it. He is
Any
why his team
contestant
got the
could have
highest
done
score.
that, except the location part. But again, golf ball and tennis ball could have just made some sort of machine to do this. I don't know why they had TV on their team, since it just gives golf ball and tennis ball
In
less to
Teapot 7, he
do.
told GB and Phoebe to temporarily ditch the team, which allowed the two to sabotage Just Not. He also transported
Okay. Any contestant could have done
his
that.
team to and from the volcano. In Teapot 8, while he did have plans to push off other contestants, he was
That's
taken
not
care of
really
early in the challenge.
doing
The only
something
reason his
interesting.
team lost was because Eraser didn't just push Teardrop off
Oh
at the
wow,
very
we were
last
gonna
moment.
do
In
something literally every contestant was
Teapot 9,
supposed
he
to.
sacrificed
How
himself to save Eraser and Teardrop, who went on to sacrifice herself to save everyone. In Teapot 10,
they used himself as a platform and died. They could have just pulled over some sort of random inanimate object, like, I don't know, a TV over, because here's the thing, half the time, TV isn't really a character. He's being used as an object, which is a problem.
he helps earn money for Penn's debt, but when that didn't work, he tries to kill him to wake him up from his dream. In Teapot 12, he helped
That's
cheer
just what the
Tennis Ball
entire
and
team
Pen up
is doing
after they
all the
lost their
time.
best friends in the team swap. He couldn't do
Okay,
anything in the
I'll count
challenge
that.
because he was glued by Needle. In Teapot 13, he distracted and led the giant David away from the hotel.
Okay, here, if you look at the text, he's claiming that some people claim that this is TV, but he thinks all at a part where TV could have done this on their own. No, this is Tennis Ball using TV as an object for a machine, because TV isn't a character. They are an object, a plot device.
What got his wheel stuck because the controller was broken by basketball. In Teapot 14, he piloted a jetpack and then served as transportation for the team. His team lost because 3 teams were already at the snowy mountain, while only Cloudier was taking on the volcano, therefore decreasing his team's chances of winning the overall challenge. In Teapot 15,
Okay.
he didn't participate in the challenge because he was too busy carrying it and made it possible in the first place. He was the one locating.
Wait, hold on, no. This is an episode TV actually does something. Wait, I disagree. This is one of TV, using TV as an object. I think it's one of the better examples of this, actually. No, because I use them really low here. Because he actually does have character as they do this.
Displaying the timeline
I think
anomalies
this is
for the
one of
other
the
teams
best
to get
ways
to and
they've
fix.
implemented it.
In Teapot 16, he used a screen to blend it as part of the
Well, in
background,
Teapot
which
16
fooled
is
everyone,
fine.
and it was genuinely a clever use of his features as a TV. All of this proves that he has done something throughout the episodes.
Okay. So, there is a claim for every episode. But, every episode but 15, but if we're actually counting being realistic, there's only 6 examples. Which I will admit is fine, but it's just not great.
However, these examples bring forth a valid criticism that I find more significant. I don't know what to title this next section, so I'll attempt to explain it as best as I can. The lack of difference between character and competition.
Okay,
Let
so
me
it
explain
only
the season
really
Needle.
does anything in 6
As a
episodes.
character, Needle is relatively quiet and vengeful. However, as a contestant, she's assertive, resourceful, and fiercely competitive while also being a team player at times. In other words, I'm trying to distinguish between her personality and her role as a contestant. I understand that personalities often influence gameplay, but what I'm trying to say is that no one's personality is as reflected in their gameplay as TV's is. This does not mean he has no personality. While you
No, it does. I'm gonna be completely honest. TV doesn't have a set personality. If you were to here he attempts to list a character trait, but they're not
speaks, he would often
actual
use clips from past
personality.
episodes, along with pictures in order to show how he's feeling, or when he's talking to contestants. For some reason, TV dislikers are pretty inconsistent in their judgment. On one hand, if he speaks using clips, they'll say it's getting old and is overdone. But when you take that
Him speaking using clips isn't a personality. It's just a function. Because he is an object. I know I keep repeating the same point, but it's true. TV is less of a character and more of an object. Okay. I'm just gonna keep continuing.
The way he loses his charm and gets called terms such as bland and boring.
Because he is bland and boring. That's his only feature. And it's not a personality trait. It's a feature. I'm gonna make that very clear. Barf bags shrink. Being changed by the liquid inside them is not a personality trait. Liquid inside barf bag affecting how their strength isn't a personality trait, it's a feature. Light switch isn't a personality trait. Actually, I guess that one does kind of affect their personality traits. But the switch's effect itself isn't a personality trait, it is a feature.
There's a reason for this lack of difference, and that is TV himself being fundamentally different from the other contestants, and he himself believing that his role as a mechanical way he loses his charm and gets called terms such as bland and boring.
I might be wrong about
In fact, there's a reason for this lack of difference, and that is TV himself being fundamentally different from the other contestants, and he himself believing that his role as a mechanical mind is to lend a helping hand, which is why, when necessary, he displays the results at a cake at stake, and is obedient when he's told to do something, usually by golf ball, tennis ball, and most of the hosts.
Because he is an object that is to be controlled. He doesn't have a personality at all.
T-Bot 16, though, is starting to reveal what happens when he steps away from this, which does actually show the difference between character and competition, showcasing a new side that I genuinely admire and hope the writers will explore further. Unfortunately, though, he seems to have already garnered a bad reputation for something that isn't his fault in the slightest.
Okay, but but in T-Bot 16, which I will say is his best episode yet, he doesn't really have a distinguished personality. He's just blending in. He doesn't say anything that shows a personality.
Point 2. He survives over...
Which is true. He survives over fries, puffball, needle, and basketball. All contestants who are
other contestants who are quote-unquote better.
Another
reason people also dislike TV is for quote-unquote robbing or just surviving over other quote-unquote better contestants. As I said before, it's not even TV's fault in the slightest, it's the voters. In the case of Fries, T-Pot simply isn't his best season, especially when compared to Priest with BFB, and definitely BFDIA.
That point I will agree with. About Fries, this is unrelated. I will say Priest with BFB, I'd say is worse than T-Pot Fries, but yeah, I do think T-Pot Fries is a bit overrated.
I do have a hunch that he could have stayed longer had BFDIA continued sooner. Same goes
Why did he shake his mascot around? I mean, not mascot, OC around like that? Like, that was so hard to focus.
She was only really better in Priest at BFB. As for Needle, I think she got...
What? No, they weren't. No. BFB Puffball is in no way better than Teapot Puffball. I forgot they said that. Oh, geez, no. Puffball is a nothing character in BFB, no. And Teapot, they're one of the best. No, that's just straight up wrong.
Out because most of her would-be voters, me included, assumed that since she was popular, they could save another contestant and she'd still be safe.
That one is true, but how does that help TV's case?
And the whole, but they have T-Pot/BFDIA argument, which, while reasonable, I am personally not a fan of it. In the case of basketball, her arc with Robot Flower had already wrapped up 2 episodes prior, so the viewers didn't feel the need to keep her around. Same thing.
Yeah, but they're still an interesting character. They're in the one arc, like, they're just a fun character. I don't think that
applies to Robot Flower, who was eliminated that same episode.
Is a point against her.
And by that logic, anyone who was in the bottom 2 and survived essentially robbed the contestant who was eliminated. Nobody claims that tennis ball robbed.
Because here's the thing. The other contestants in the bottom 2, these examples, tennis ball, golf ball, and bottle, are all great contestants. TV is a nothing character. They don't deserve to survive over these guys. Like, it would be true if tennis ball, golf ball, and bottle were all less good than TV, but they're not. They're leagues better than TV. If anything, TV is robbing these guys of a spot outside of the bottom two.
Fries in Teapot 6, or that golf ball rob puffball in Teapot 9, or that bottle rob beetle in
Because
Teapot
I did.
13. In fact, in all of those episodes, it was TV who received the blame unfairly. He didn't even end up in the bottom two in these 3 examples. Honestly, I think the
though he
whole robbed
should've.
argument is just a result of incredible mental gymnastics, and is ultimately a really bad coping mechanism. Because one cannot...
I'm sorry, no. But TV would be better candidates to get out because they don't have an distinguished personality, unlike these characters that are much more interesting.
stomach the thought that maybe their favorite character left because they got the least votes, and therefore blame it on another disliked character who just so happens to be on the same
definitely
team.
not coping,
It's so
guys,
frustrating that
trust.
someone who actively helps his team gets accused of robbing characters, while someone like Pillow, who actively sabotaged her own team,
Oh, no. Because Pillow, as I have said, is an actual character. Saying that they should get out because they sabotage their team is not right. Because in Teapot 9, hold on, I have an actual theory about Teapot 9, about Pillow. This one might be outside of mental gymnastics, I will admit. I think Pillow knew what the challenge was. They were just trying to get everyone else dead because A, they've discovered death brings good luck, according to her theories. And B, not V. I don't know how I said it like that. Anyways, B, they found, B, they knew there was a chance that the other characters indeed think that it could be wiping their team out. They were wiping them out to A, bring good luck, as I've already stated, and B, make sure they didn't to wipe themselves and Pillow out. But I will, that one might be also
not face similar accusations.
But as I said,
At
Pillow has a
least not on the
character
same level
anyways.
TV does.
So still.
She caused her team to lose the contest in Teapot 9, yet Nickel was eliminated in the following episode. Also, even though they were going to lose a member as a result of X's tags regardless, she indirectly caused Cloudier to lose another member because she really wanted to clarify that she and X were in an alliance rather than skedaddling away as quick as possible.
No! Wait, hold on. Oh, I have a rant about this one. No, why would they... One, what would skedaddling away from 4 do? 4 is one of the strongest characters in all of media. Do you really think they could just skedaddle away? And expanding her own alliance with X, since Ford asked a question, I might as well just answer it, because why not? And B, it might actually stop Ford from tagging them just yet. Also, it'd be very out of character for Pillow to run from 4. They don't care about 4. They don't give any care about 4. It lowers the point from a point where they think 4 would be able to catch and skedaddle, but also lowers from a point where they think they need to skedaddle. Pillow thinks nothing of 4, so I'm skedaddling away. I'm just gonna say running away from 4. Skedaddle sounds stupid, I'm gonna make a point honest. Would be fully out of character.
Regardless of your opinion on the whole robbed debate, one thing is clear. TV survived over other contestants for one of the following reasons. They simply weren't...
Also, the contestants Pillow survives over aren't fan favorites. I like Barf Bag, and I know Cake is really popular now. But they've never survived over a contestant that was a fan favorite. TV survives over characters League is better than them.
at their peak and therefore weren't as popular as they would have been. The viewers may have voted for other contestants, thinking their preferred choices was pretty much guaranteed safety from elimination, or their central story arcs had already concluded.
They just showed April on the screen. I don't know why they did. April sucks anyways. I'm sorry. It's just out of pocket. Oh yeah, no. They showed Robot Flower and April. April is getting out no matter what. Like that, I think was a little silly to say. Anyone would have robbed of their favorite 8-ball getting a chance. And I think April might be the least liked character on the show. I'm sorry, I'm gonna shut up about that. Also, why does your Robot Flower on screen?
It's not
Not
TV's fault your
confused.
favorite character got out. It's the voters. Stop shifting the blame. We've already had people shifting things, and look at how that almost turned out. Though it didn't end up being really good in the long term. Also, some people can't just simply fathom the idea that someone like TV gets votes because people like them and their uniqueness.
No, every character must have 3,000 arcs and it should bring something to the table.
Yeah,
I mean, sure, 3,000 arcs, that's an exaggeration. I don't think anyone is begging for every character to have an arc. Nobody's begging for a grassy arc. But the thing is, TV doesn't have a character. They should have something like an arc to actually bring them character. Also, they should bring something to the table point is because they should. If a contestant brings nothing to the table, then they are a nothing character. They are the definition of a nothing character.
to break it to you, but a character could have a crap ton of arcs and still not be liked by the viewers enough to survive.
Dang, that's a good point with Ben. I really want to hate that Ben point, but it's kind of true. Okay, you got my vote of pen. Gotta be completely honest.
Talking point 3. He's just a plot device and could easily be replaced by non-sentient TV. No, he's not a tool used to advance the plot.
But he is a plot device. Look at every elimination ever. All of his suggestions. Those are all things that any character could do. Look at his calculations. Those are things that tennis ball and golf ball we couldn't probably do with any machine. Because TV is a plot device, not a real contestant.
He's not just a tool at all. This gets thrown around whenever
He is just a tool. Look at the cake at stakes. Just look throughout the entire show and tell me that he isn't just a tool in most episodes.
he does literally anything that advances the plot forward. So by that logic, this point nullifies itself because everyone is a plot device, because they all move the plot.
That point is true. Everyone does move a plot forward. But here's the thing. Everyone else is a plot device in ways that are entertaining. TV is just a plot device to be a plot device.
Forward, except Saw.
Teapot 2. DP1. Oh, sorry. I just coughed up some random words that mean no meaning.
I'll let that sink in for a moment. Anyway, onto the second half of this
Fine, I'll go let this sink in.
point. It seems like BFDI fans don't like it when an object show contestant is actively used as their object. Like, are you kidding me?
But TV, it's every episode. Like, most of the time, TV is on screen for being used as her object. It's not a bit used sometimes. It's constant.
This should be a main reason as to why he shouldn't be as disliked as he is now. The only other examples of this trait that I can remember include Match in BFDIA 5C, Pencil in BFDIA 11.
Okay. Match being used as a match once. Pencil being used
Albeit against
or
her will.
pencil
Pen in
twice.
BFB4,
Pen
Remote in
used as a pen
BFB7,
once.
and Marker in TBOT 1.
Remote as a remote once. Marker is marker once. Lie is a lie once. Sure. Those, by the way, I don't know how you pronounce what lie actually is. Sure, those things all are being used as objects, but it's a one-time thing.
However, all of those were merely one-offs, and none of them actively get tomatoes thrown at them for doing so they don't count in this
I guess
context.
pounds.
Two people who do
Wait, no,
count,
that's
though,
not bell being used as their object. Wait, no, I just realized it's not. That's not how bell works. I mean, I guess in Teapot 4, but not in the example he gave.
our book and price
Oh my goodness, if you're gonna give an example, do it right. How are you feeling this bad?
book is every piece of literature except the lyrics booklet in one.
Okay, well, that's a good joke. And it's not as overused and exaggerated. And it's used as just a bit sometimes. Like in Teapot 1, Teapot 13, line where books goes, I'm a beast in there, and I know fish monsters hate lasers. It's usually used as a joke like that.
Whereas price tag has the ability to calculate the value of pretty much anything upon making contact.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Okay, this is gonna sound really contradictory to my features argument. Price tag, that's actually personality. Well, not the feature itself, but they use it as part of her personality. They like to look at the value of things, which that feature is part of her personality. TV, it
and
doesn't
aside from
really
your
work
typical, at this point,
into
what is
them
book
as a
not?
personality.
Aside from a lyrics booklet, question, your reaction / sin video, she doesn't really get disliked for this, as not an integral part to her personality, and its inclusion is more optional than not. As for price tag, their value scanning is less occasional than books, and it's only really needed in certain scenarios, like during T-Bot 7, where they traded items to get ones with better values to win the challenge. Safe to say, they get extremely few tomatoes thrown at them. As for TV, not only is this
Because
quirk an
it's
integral
not
part of his
constant.
design, but also his personality.
Them being used as a TV isn't part of her personality. It's a feature, as I have said before.
It ultimately is a factor to understanding him as a character. And besides, people dislike him for this as if he has a choice. That screen of his and the fact that he's a mechanical mind is what makes him fundamentally different from most of, if not all, the other contestants.
Okay, but their object shouldn't be what makes them interesting. If the object part of you is what makes you interesting, then you're functionally failing as a contestant. And the only exceptions, I'd say, are black hole, where it adds to their personality, not in too intrusive a way, yellow face, with the yellow face dimension, and David and Dora for obvious reasons. I guess your body too, but there it's implemented really well. TV, it's
And similar to ones like Roboti, who's also a victim of the does nothing comments,
because it makes
so he can't simply be written as if he was someone
They don't have a personality.
like Penn or Golf Ball. If he was, he'd lose all his charm as a contestant. Unfortunately though, people can't seem to realize that. My thoughts.
He wouldn't lose all his charm as a contestant if he is a standard object, because then the writers would feel free to give him an actual personality and not just have him be a freaking object.
So, what are they? Well, I personally think the anti-TV sentiment stems from viewers questioning why a character with relatively minimal story potential compared to other contestants is still competing in what is intended to be a story-focused season. His lack of a compelling story in comparison.
As Carousel's answer for all of these. Actually, is TV listed here? Okay, so, multiple arcs, and is in an ongoing one. Record. Okay. When was Margaret? Oh yeah, I guess that one Death Pact arc. Bottle for no coup. It's because for just a fun contestant. They don't need to be an arc because they're just a fun contestant to have around. Pencil is not the main character of I'm sorry. Fanny is the main character. Controversial contestant for Pearl. What's an arc? I'd say for arc is just being a fun contestant like Bottle to have around, as said. Popular friendship for Snowball and Grassy. What? I don't think that counts as an arc. I'd say we're a fun contestant to have around, but they are for other people. I thought I was having fun.
Into others, such as lie or pin, makes his actions seem less significant. This leads to the misconception that TV flat out does nothing. In reality, TV does.
Why is not in an arc or even a pen arc, I guess? It's because they're just an interesting
but his actions are more
character.
for the sake of the competition itself, rather than focusing on his relationships with other contestants. And he's fine with that.
Yes. They are just a character that competes. They have no relationships. What a good idea. That's literally just a bland nothing character.
He's meant to be more of a silly, laid-back, non-social contestant who's meant to help.
Laid back and non-social is nothing. Also, what do you mean silly? You're not silly at all.
With challenges,
Actually, I guess
as well as
they are
contributing to,
sometimes,
in
but
some cases even
that's
kickstarting
barely
arcs,
a
while not
personality.
having one of his own.
Since
What do I think the
sometimes
writer should do
silly's
with
not
him,
a
though?
personality.
I think they should have him act
I'm
slightly
gonna be
more like his
completely
Teapot Hive
honest.
self, while also putting focus on his Teapot 16 self, as I personally loved how we got to see other sides of him. Unfortunately, though, this change might be too late, since no one on his current team is as dislike as TV, and because Bag's spotlight was focused more on Pen, Bottle, and Lie, I don't think he'll survive for long if his team is placed up for elimination again. He might be able to get through one more elimination, possibly against Tennis Ball, maybe even two if he's lucky, with his chances improving more depending on.
If he beats Bottle and Tennis Ball in an elimination, I am going to genuinely be so mad. Bottle and Tennis Ball are some of the best contestants still remaining. And if they lose to freaking TV, I'm just giving up.
Whether Bag doesn't put up for elimination in 2017.
Bag has all amazing contestants left. And they had two great ones, so they lost to basketball and Needle. I don't know how to linger on him for so long. If we lose another contestant to TV, I'm done.
Or if Teapot 17 begins to merge.
TV just needs to go.
Yeah, that's all. And in conclusion, watch New Ghost. And until next time, I'm out.
Oh, I almost accidentally subscribed. I'm sorry. Anyways, the moral of the story is I can't talk. I'm a Rocky fan.